The Galactic Council chamber fell silent when High Speaker raised his four-fingered hand. The ancient station hummed with power as holographic displays flickered around the massive circular hall. This place had witnessed the rise and fall of empires. It had seen treaties signed and wars declared. Today, it would witness something unprecedented. 312 species had sent their representatives to this ancient station floating at the center of known space. Today, they would vote on the fate of the youngest species to reach the stars. Humanity. The evidence is clear, declared, his voice echoing through the massive hall. Species 7291, known as humans, has violated 17 separate articles of the Galactic Peace Accord. They have expanded too quickly. They have claimed resources without proper authorization. They have refused to share their technology with elder races. Most concerning of all, they have developed weapons that make even our most advanced civilizations uncomfortable. Ambassador Wei stood alone at the center of the chamber. She was the only human representative allowed to attend. Around her, thousands of alien eyes stared down with expressions ranging from pity to disgust to fear. "We have reviewed your case for 6 standard cycles," continued. "The Council has reached a preliminary decision. Humanity will be confined to their home system. Your colony ships will be recalled. Your space stations will be dismantled. Your research facilities will be monitored. Your military vessels will be destroyed. You will return to Earth and remain there until the Council determines you are mature enough to rejoin galactic society. This exile could last centuries, perhaps longer. That is the price of your arrogance." Wei did not flinch. She had expected this outcome. Her people had been preparing for it. "May I speak?" she asked calmly. Hesitated. The Galactic Council rarely allowed condemned species to address them, but something in the human's eyes made him curious. "You may speak briefly." "Thank you, High Speaker." Wei looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many representatives as she could. "I want to thank the Council for their careful consideration. We understand your concerns. Humanity is young. We are sometimes aggressive. We make mistakes, but I must inform you of something important." She paused, and the chamber grew even more silent. "The decision you are about to make is already outdated. 3 standard days ago, while you were deliberating our fate, humanity completed Project Exodus. 97% of our population has already left this galaxy." The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Translator devices struggled to keep up with the noise. Slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor repeatedly, trying to restore order. "Impossible," shouted the ambassador, his scales changing color with anger. "We have monitored your system constantly. No fleet left Earth. No mass evacuation occurred." Wei smiled. "You monitored the routes you knew about, the jump points you discovered. But High Speaker, did you never wonder why humanity developed faster-than-light travel differently than every other species? Did you never question why our ships didn't need your ancient jump gates?" The silence returned, heavier than before. "Humanity doesn't use jump gates because we never needed them. We developed dimensional folding technology. Our ships don't travel through your known routes. They step between dimensions, appearing wherever we wish to go. While your scouts watched our borders, our colony ships were folding space to destinations beyond your sensor range." His face had grown pale. "Where did you go?" "Everywhere. Nowhere you can follow. The Andromeda Galaxy, the Triangulum Galaxy, a dozen smaller galaxies you haven't even named yet. We have been quietly building new homes for 30 years, ever since we realized the Council would never accept us as equals. Every human child born in the last generation has been born under alien stars. They have never seen Earth except in photographs." The ambassador, an ancient being whose species had founded the Galactic Council over 1,000,000 years ago, leaned forward. "You planned this from the beginning." "We hoped it wouldn't be necessary," Wei admitted. "We hoped the Council would see past our differences. We hoped elder species would remember what it was like to be young and ambitious. But we prepared for the worst because that is what humans do. We survive. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. Several security officers moved toward her, but she simply placed it on the floor. This is a gift for the Council. It contains the coordinates of Earth and instructions for reaching it. You can have you can turn it into whatever you wish. A museum, a prison, a nature preserve, we don't need it anymore. You would abandon your own planet? Asked, genuine shock in his voice. Earth is beautiful, we love it deeply. Many of us wept when we left, but Earth is not humanity. Home is not a place. Home is each other. Home is our children and our dreams. We carry home with us wherever we go. The ambassador laughed bitterly. You expect us to believe you evacuated billions of people without anyone noticing. We evacuated 14 billion people over 30 years. Slowly, carefully. The humans you saw on Earth were volunteers who stayed behind to maintain the illusion. They left on the final ship 3 days ago. What you have been threatening to exile is an empty planet. Wei began walking toward the exit. No one tried to stop her. Wait, called out. What happens now? What are your intentions toward the Council? She turned back one last time. Nothing. We want nothing from you. We don't want war. We don't want revenge. We simply want to live our lives without asking permission from species who fear us for being different. You called us too aggressive, too ambitious, too dangerous. Perhaps you were right, but those qualities also allowed us to do something no other species has ever done. We escaped a cage you hadn't even finished building. And if we pursue you, if we find these new colonies... Wei's smile faded. You won't. Dimensional folding technology is beyond your understanding. Your best scientists would need 1,000 years to figure out the basic principles. By then, we will have spread across 100 galaxies. You cannot exile a species you cannot find. She walked through the massive doors, leaving 312 species in stunned silence. In the weeks that followed, the Galactic Council sent ships to Earth. They found exactly what Wei had described. Empty cities stood silent beneath blue skies. Roads led to nowhere. Homes contained furniture but no families. Schools still had books on desks. Hospitals still had medicine on shelves. The entire planet had been carefully cleaned, almost preserved, as if the humans wanted their birthplace to remain beautiful even without them. The investigators walked through abandoned parks where flowers still bloomed. They explored museums where human history was displayed for anyone willing to learn. They found libraries containing millions of books, freely available to any species curious enough to read them. The Council investigators found messages left behind, personal notes addressed to the galaxy at large. Many expressed sadness, some expressed anger, but most expressed hope. One message, found in a small house in a city called Tokyo, became famous across the galaxy. It was written by an elderly woman who had chosen to leave on the final ship despite her age and illness. I am 97 years old. I was born on this planet. My parents were born here. Their parents were born here. For thousands of generations, my ancestors lived and died on Earth. Leaving feels like cutting away a piece of my soul, but I have who deserve a future without limits. I have great who should not have to beg for permission to dream, so I leave. I carry Earth in my heart, but I fly toward tomorrow. The Galactic Council debated for months about what to do. Some wanted to search for humanity anyway. Others wanted to pretend the embarrassment had never happened. A few, mostly younger species who had sympathized with humans from the beginning, argued that the Council should learn from this experience. We tried to cage a species that had already learned to fly, one young ambassador said. Perhaps we should ask ourselves why we were so afraid of them in the first place. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. The Galactic Council continued as it always had, but something had changed. The story of humanity's escape spread to every corner of known space. Species who had never heard of Earth learned about the strange, aggressive, ambitious beings who had simply refused to be controlled. Some admired them, some hated them, most simply wondered where they had gone. Occasionally, very occasionally, reports would filter back to the Council. A strange ship spotted at the edge of known space. A distress signal answered by vessels no one recognized. A primitive species on a distant planet claiming that gods had visited them, gods who looked remarkably like the descriptions of humans in the old records. The Galactic Council always investigated these reports. They always found nothing conclusive. And then, exactly 500 years after Wei had walked out of that chamber, something unexpected happened. A message arrived at the council station. It came through no known channel, appearing directly in their communication systems as if by magic. Security experts analyzed it for weeks. They could not determine how it had bypassed every firewall and encryption system in existence. The message was simple. To the Galactic Council, this is Ambassador Wei's great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter, Admiral, Commander of the Human Exploration Fleet Endless Horizon. We have mapped 73 galaxies. We have encountered 419 intelligent species, none of whom had ever heard of your council. We have built things you cannot imagine. We have seen wonders beyond description. We send this message not to threaten or to boast, but to offer an invitation. If you have learned to see us as friends rather than threats, you are welcome to visit. The coordinates are attached. We have prepared a welcome for any species brave enough to accept. The Council debated for another 100 years about whether to accept the invitation. By then, humanity had stopped waiting for their answer. They had moved on to the next galaxy, then the next after that. They had become something new, something vast, something that no longer needed approval from their old neighbors. Earth remained where they had left it, quiet and green, orbiting a yellow star in a small spiral galaxy. The Galactic Council eventually declared it a protected historical site. They built a monument there, a simple stone marker with words carved in every known language. Here lived humanity. They came to the stars seeking friendship. They found only fear. So they went further, beyond all limits, beyond all boundaries, beyond all expectations. They left this world behind, but they took everything that mattered with them. Sometimes, late at night, visitors to Earth claimed they could hear music drifting across the empty continents. Old songs in languages no one spoke anymore. Lullabies that human mothers had sung to their children for countless generations. The songs always faded before anyone could record them. But they always returned, carried on winds that seemed to blow from somewhere impossibly far away. Humanity had not forgotten their first home. They simply had too many homes to count now, too many worlds, too many stars, too many dreams still waiting to come true. The Galactic Council had tried to exile them to one small planet. Instead, they had exiled themselves to the entire universe. And the universe, vast and empty and full of wonders, had welcomed them with open arms. The Council never stopped wondering what could have been different. What if they had treated humanity as partners instead of problems? What if they had seen potential instead of danger? What if they had offered friendship instead of punishment? But those questions would never be answered. Humanity had made their choice. They had chosen freedom over safety, adventure over acceptance, tomorrow over yesterday. And somewhere out there, among stars that the Council would never see, human children were being born every moment. Each one carried the dreams of their ancestors and the hopes of their parents. Each one would grow up knowing that the universe belonged to those brave enough to explore it. The exile had been meant as a punishment. Humanity had turned it into the greatest journey in the history of intelligent life. That was the human way. That had always been the human way.